Hey everyone, welcome. I am so thrilled you're joining us today. We're taking something that honestly feels pretty intimidating to a lot of folks, and we're just going to break it right down into clear, actionable steps. If you've been sitting on the sidelines, kind of watching the whole crypto world from afar because it just seems way too complex, well, you are in the exact right place. Our goal in this explainer is completely demystifying Bitcoin for complete beginners. So by the end of our time together, you're going to have a rock-solid step-by-step understanding of exactly how to navigate this space with total confidence. Because it's the elephant in the room, isn't it? How do you actually buy Bitcoin without getting scammed or losing your money or getting hacked? And look, it's a completely valid anxiety. We've all heard the horror stories about lost keys and shady online deals, and honestly, it's enough to make anyone second-guess getting involved. But here's the good news. I'm going to give you a reassuring, safe, and super straightforward guide. We're going to cut right through all the jargon, totally bypass the risky methods, and just focus entirely on the safest, most tested ways for first-time buyers to enter the market. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. First, welcome to buying Bitcoin. Second, payment apps versus exchanges. Third, your first Bitcoin purchase. Fourth, securing your digital wallet. And finally, navigating risks and volatility. All right, let's get moving. Starting off with Section 1, welcome to buying Bitcoin, getting started with digital currency. Moving right along to Section 2, payment apps versus exchanges, choosing your buying platform. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the direct trade-off between your two main avenues as a beginner. This is literally the very first major decision you're going to make on your journey. So on the top row, we've got payment apps. Think PayPal, Venmo, or Cash App. The absolute biggest pro here? Extreme convenience. You probably already have one of these accounts set up right now. But the con? Well, you might end up paying higher fees, sometimes ranging from 1% up to 2%, and there can be slight markups on the price. Now, in the bottom row, we have dedicated exchanges. Think of platforms like Coinbase or Kraken. The big pro here is they've got advanced features and let you trade a massive variety of other tokens. However, the con is that if you leave your coins just sitting on their platform, you're basically assuming the risk of that exchange potentially going bankrupt. It's a classic choice, really. The easy, familiar path versus the more specialized, feature-rich path. All right, Section 3. Your first Bitcoin purchase. A chronological guide. To prevent that awful choice paralysis, I've broken this whole thing down into an exact step-by-step chronological flow. Step 1, like we literally just talked about, is choosing your platform, either a payment app or a dedicated exchange. Step 2 is verifying your identity, which we'll get into in just a second. Step 3 is connecting your funding source, so usually your bank account or a debit card. And finally, Step 4 is executing the trade. That's where you simply input how much cash you want to convert into Bitcoin and hit buy. Stick to these 4 steps, exactly in this order, and you really cannot go wrong. Let's actually look a little closer at Step 2 from that list, just to build up your understanding of the whole onboarding process. So KYC stands for Know Your Customer. I really want to clarify this because, honestly, a lot of beginners get super spooked when a digital platform suddenly asks them to snap a selfie and upload a picture of their driver's license. Please don't be alarmed. This is just a totally standard, legally required verification process designed specifically to meet anti-money laundering laws. In fact, it actually proves that the exchange you're using is playing by the rules. It's totally a hallmark of a legitimate, safe platform. Which brings us to Section 4, securing your digital wallet, protecting your investment. Now, this is where we really need to adopt a strong security-first mindset. Because buying the asset, that's only half the battle. Protecting it is where the real responsibility kicks in. To understand security, we got to define a key piece of jargon. A non-custodial wallet is a wallet where you, and literally only you, store the private keys right on your own device. That could be a software program on your computer, an app on your phone, or even a dedicated piece of physical hardware. The essential takeaway here is total control. You hold the keys, not some giant corporation. This is absolutely the ultimate safety goal for any long-term crypto investor. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly why that matters so much. Custodial wallets are run by a third party, kind of like the exchange where you bought the Bitcoin in the first place. It's super similar to depositing money in a bank. But here's the massive catch. Crypto isn't insured like traditional banking. If that provider goes bankrupt, you risk losing your Bitcoin entirely. Poof, gone. Non-custodial wallets completely eliminate that risk. The keys are right there on your device. You own the keys, which means zero third-party bankruptcy risk. Transferring your funds off an exchange and into your own non-custodial wallet drastically, and I mean drastically, improves your personal security. Let's head into our final part, Section 5, navigating risks and volatility, best practices for safety. I really want to build your trust here by acknowledging the stark realities of the crypto market, just so you have super realistic expectations for holding this asset long term. We really have to talk about the risks clearly. First up, there is zero financial safety net. Like I mentioned, unlike traditional banks, if your Bitcoin is stolen or lost, there's no central authority you can call to reimburse you. Second, average accounts are highly susceptible to hacking, which is exactly why your security practices just have to be tight. Third, you've got to be prepared for extreme price volatility. The market can swing wildly just based on one bad news cycle. But, you manage these risks through best practices. Always transfer your assets to a non-custodial wallet for long-term safety. And just a quick aside, if you ever decide to buy Bitcoin directly from another person, peer-to-peer, always meet in a busy public place for your own physical safety. So the crucial point is, why exactly do we focus so heavily on apps and online exchanges? Well, it's pretty much because of numbers like this, 3% to 8%. That is the typical exchange rate fee tacked right on top of the standard price when you use a physical Bitcoin ATM. And yeah, while ATMs do offer a certain level of in-person accessibility, those incredibly high fees are exactly why digital payment apps and online exchanges are the far preferred, way more cost-effective starting point for beginners. All right, we've covered the platforms, the chronological steps, the absolute critical importance of non-custodial wallets, and the realities of market risks. The tools and the knowledge are now completely in your hands. So I want to leave you with this final thought. Are you ready to confidently take control of your digital assets? Because the crypto landscape really doesn't have to be intimidating when you approach it with some structure and care. Just take your time, prioritize your security, and start this journey completely on your own terms. Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer.